Welcome to Whiskey One, the channel for the novice, the curious, and the connoisseur. I'm Whiskey One, and we have our featured guest, Daniel Warren from the Albuquerque Whiskey Society. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, as always.
And thanks for bringing these. These are New Mexico single barrel pick Old Foresters.
Yep.
So stick around. Whiskey fam, get ready to get a dram. We have 3 single barrels, so not once, twice, but thrice. And these are high proofers. These are 64 and 65% ABV. So this one's already breaking the 130 proof barrier. So these are individual picks. This one happens to be from Elephant Ranch. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Elephant Ranch, based in Las Cruces. So, do you know a little bit about them?
Not a lot. It says they're the number one beer garden in Las Cruces. So my wife actually picked that up for me when she travels down south. Nice.
And these are hard to find in the state of New Mexico. So depending kind of where you're at, you may or may not be able to find single barrel Old Foresters in your area. But I think we were lucky enough to have 3, really. And this is from Jubilation, which is from Albuquerque. It's a local wine and spirits liquor store. I frequent Jubilation quite a bit. I know you do too.
Yep. Great place, family owned, local. They do a great job there at Jubilation. We love them.
Yeah. I have a bottle, I just haven't popped it. And this is actually a fresh uncorking. So either of us have not had it yet. And I'm hoping it's awesome because they still have a few. And then last but not least is a Total Wine pick.
Yep, I got this one at Total Wine. I think it was probably a year and a half or so ago.
Okay.
They just happened to come out and it says Master Distiller. It's a Master Distiller pick.
Gotcha.
Here in New Mexico.
Gotcha. And then the proofs will actually be in the details within the video. They kind of range, but going from lowest to highest is the goal today. And then we're going to try to pick out which is our favorite. I'm interested to dive right in.
Yeah, I am too. I do know that, like you said earlier, the single barrel Old Foresters are very hard to come by. They don't have a ton of them out there in the market, and New Mexico really doesn't get a ton of single barrels. So that the fact that we can feature 3, I think is really special for the state of New Mexico.
Well, I'm excited, and hopefully after folks watch this, they'll start making more demands for the Old Forester single barrel picks. Cheers, my friend. Let's nose these 3. They should be quite similar, but I think that's the goal too, is try to see if there's anything really starkly different between 3 single barrel picks. What's the first thing that jumps out?
It's to me, I get like all of the baking spice and the classic
brown
bourbon.
sugar.
Brown sugar, yeah. But I'll tell you what, and I know this is a big debate, can you smell proof? I don't think you can really smell proof, but you can smell hot whiskey versus not hot whiskey. And it really doesn't come across as a hot whiskey initially on the nose. Yeah,
so if you're watching this video and maybe you're not too used to drinking high proof whiskey, I'll give you a tip. Try to nose your whiskey with your mouth open as you breathe it in. If you did it with your mouth closed, you're going to get a sharp bite. You're probably going to shoot your palate at that point. But I try to kind of breathe in through my nose and my mouth, but I get a lot of brown sugar. Like maple syrup, molasses.
That barrel essence is in there. Yeah, the barrel's there.
Do you get any red fruits too? I get like some slight cherries too.
Oh, cherry, yeah. Cherry. Yeah, man, that's delicious.
That does smell delicious. I got black tea. I'm not sure if you got that.
Yeah, totally.
Man, okay. So that one smelled amazing.
Yes.
Smelled really amazing.
Yes.
On to number 2.
This is Jubilation.
Okay, this one's different for me.
It is different. This is more fruity up front.
Okay.
Yeah, just that brown sugar, it's there, but it's not as prominent as it was on this one. That one was sugar forward.
Yes. Yeah, molasses forward. Yeah. This feels a little softer too.
Yes.
More vanilla.
Way more vanilla. I was about to say the same thing. Vanilla, like a freshly baked pie.
The fruitiness comes out a little more dense too.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Ooh, that's delicious.
Man, I don't want to jump the gun on what's going to be my favorite. This one has, on the nose, more complexity. This one feels a little creamier, right, and fruity. So let's go to our total wine pick. Holy cow. All right, I am going to say something this time up front. Cinnamon sticks. The first thing that jumps out to me is cinnamon sticks.
Yeah.
Dry cinnamon.
Yep.
So as a kid, I don't know if you did this. Sorry. As a kid, you're always getting candy, and every now and then you got that friend that shows up to class with those cinnamon toothpicks that they dipped in oil. And they just kind of pass them around just so you could kind of suck on them all through class and poke each other with them. That's what this reminds me of. Right
totally.
off the
It's more similar to 2, I think. It's still totally different.
I get a little leather.
Yeah,
It has a bit of...
that's Old Forester too, though.
Yeah.
Old Forester's that leather.
But you're right. This one feels fruity. It's got, we elected to pour these, before we shot, just because you got to let these high proofers kind of breathe, or else kind of the first thing that's going to hit you is a little bit of astringency. It might kind of blow your palate too if you just dive right in. So never hurts to let them breathe for about 5-10 minutes if you're going to pour them for yourself or friends.
And you can tell you've been nosing high proof. I mean, they don't come off as 130 up to 130 on the nose, but you can tell as you drink and smell. As you smell more of these, you can definitely smell, because my nose is already starting to feel the effects of smell. So when that happens, I just take a break, smell my arm, smell my hand. As long as you haven't used lotion or anything, smell your hand. I'm getting a little like a chocolate covered cherry in this one.
I get cherry for sure.
Yeah.
Spicy cherry, red hots. And wow, it's nice. So all 3 are nice. I feel like 2 and 3 are similar, but very different than number 1.
Agreed. I think you can say they're all different whiskeys. You would never mix them up, but similarities in 2 and 3, totally different than number 1.
Yeah, and I think if you guys are ever curious about whether to get a single barrel, and maybe you have a bottle, right? And then you're like, you see a different single barrel. Is it worth getting a separate one? My take is, hell yeah, because you get to then appreciate the differences that like a master distiller or a blender has to actually experience when they try to come up with a blend that's consistent for a specific type of brand, right? So say Old Forester comes out with their 1920, a cast strength. Well, there's going to be a master blender that's going to take the time to pick out different barrels that they feel like it would actually match up and give you that consistent feel, that flavor, and they actually have to take the time to blend those various barrels. Let's dive into that taste.
Let's do it. Number 1?
Yeah, number 1. Again, this is the Elephant Ranch. So, cheers. Not for the faint of heart. This is a bold one.
It's there.
Yeah, it's got a good...
You're drinking a bourbon.
Yeah. You were definitely drinking a bourbon as opposed to drinking 3 blind ryes. So this has got a good amount of heat.
It does have
sticky
heat.
Sweet though.
Sticky. Yep. The sweetness comes through. That the depth and the mouthfeel, the viscosity in there really just coats that entire mouth.
It drinks hot.
It drinks hot. It is hot.
Yeah.
But it's very good. It's a very long finish too. By the way, it's just that just stays with you and stays with you. Makes you want to go back for more.
Yeah, that's why I got my second sip already.
Yeah.
Wow. This is damn good. This is delicious. Feels like there's good layers of complexity.
Yeah.
I like what's happening.
There's a little bitterness note, and I think that's coming from the barrel because these are very dark. A lot of age on these.
A lot of oak.
A lot of oak. They're very dark whiskeys. We didn't talk much about the color, but these whiskeys definitely have been on oak for a long time, and I think that's where a lot of some of that bitterness is coming from, and that happens a lot with high proof whiskeys as well.
Yeah, and as far as color, these are dark amber, burnt orange in color. As far as, viscosity on that first one, I can still see those sticky legs on it. Got some beads just hanging around the side of the glass. And man, oh man, that has got thickness. It leaves that like brim right on the edge of that whiskey. So I'm ready to dive into number 2.
I'm gonna take a little sip of water.
Sure.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. Whoa.
Oh,
Okay.
that is good.
Not anywhere close as hot
No.
in the mid palate as the first one.
No, it's intense with flavor as opposed to
Yes.
intense with heat.
That's good.
That's good. Yeah,
It's-
that's a good one.
I would not. If I didn't know that this was 100, almost 130 proof, I would guess between 110 and 115. That fruit, I think that fruit forward is really what helps with that alcohol. It's really, this is very enjoyable.
I was thinking, yeah, there's black tea. There's also like a leathery, earthy note.
Yes.
But it's not an oak bomb.
No.
I feel like you're getting the complexity from the wood, but it doesn't feel like oaky.
I thought the first one was more oaky and bitter and dry in your mouth a little bit more than this one.
I'm gonna take a little sip before we dive into number
Yeah.
3. Do you have a favorite so far?
Well, I'm a fan of number 2 right now over number 1. I always love Old Forester, and I think Old Forester is like the epitome of like a classic bourbon. You always get those bourbon flavors and aromas, and these don't disappoint. They're just more complex. This second one, I know you've already taken a drink, but
I can go back to it.
The finish, but this is the intro. You can come back to it in a minute. The finish, long finish, and it's been a minute or longer since I took my last drink, and it went sweet, like super sweet in my mouth.
Okay.
It went just like.
All right, I'm gonna take a little bit of sip now because now I'm intrigued. Let's do it. I'll take a
It
small
was
sip.
really interesting.
I'll take a small sip for mankind. Anything for science, really. Again, earthy, spicy.
Because what happens on that finish,
Fruity.
and you're exactly right. It's that spiciness that happens, and then all that subsides, and then it just went sweet in my mouth.
A little sugary, sweet tingle. Yeah, I'm with you there. I really like number 2. Well done. Well done on number 2's pick
That was
there.
Jubilation.
Yeah, I'm gonna take another sip because I
agree.
I cleansed the palate before, but I need to do it again. Cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
All right, so this is the Total Wine pick. Oh, love that nose. I love that nose. This one hits different.
It totally hits different. It hits spicier
Yeah, and stickier.
and stickier. Wow, this one was fruit, and this one hit spicy up front,
Yeah,
and
those toothpicks.
cinnamon. It's that
those
cinnamon you talked about.
toothpicks.
You ever? Yeah, I mean, when you get too much cinnamon, it gets that spicy bitterness. But yeah, it was really, really good though.
What are your initial thoughts sipping number 3?
Sipping number 3, I liked it. It almost could come off as a rye as soon as you get it in your mouth because of that immediate spiciness that happens.
Yeah.
For me, when I drink a bourbon, I look for that sweet note to happen as soon as it hits my tongue, right past the lips.
Yeah.
And then this one, I didn't really get that sweetness on the front. It almost could come off as a rye. Now, I would tell you it's not a rye because I don't get that burn on the back of my taste buds like I normally do on a rye. But on initial thought, when you first put it in your mouth, you think it's going to be a rye. But it's obviously not, if we know our palates.
Yeah, my palate is trash. At least right now, it's trash until I can prove myself otherwise.
He's referring to his other video, and if you haven't seen it, go watch it. They'll tag it here, I'm sure. So
yeah. I did a 3 blind whiskeys last week, and my buddy John decided to really test me because usually when he pours stuff blind, I can make them out because I've had them before. So this time he went a step further and poured me stuff that I've never had before and really threw me for a loop. I guessed all bourbons and I was completely wrong. They were not bourbons. But I know that these are bourbons. I'm pretty confident these are bourbons.
I
'Cause I poured them.
you're right.
Yeah. Now, okay, so my thoughts on number 3. The one thing that kind of jumped out at me was the amount of cinnamon.
Yes, and it's spicy. Mm-hmm. It's almost spicy throughout the entire palate.
Yeah.
Whereas this one was spicy on the end. This one was not very spicy at all.
Yeah.
And this one was spicy through the entire palate, I thought.
Yeah, number two feels very balanced. Very balanced.
Very balanced.
Right, a little bit of everything, too.
This one is, I think it needs to sit in the glass a little longer. You know, I think...
maybe.
I do that a lot of times with my 125 plus whiskeys. I'll pour it and then I'll come back to it 30 minutes later. I'll pour it and go do stuff around the house, knowing I'm going to drink it later, then I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
I did that.
And I went back to it just real quick as you were talking. And yeah, it's very, very spicy. I mean, if anything, it's kind of like the dominant player here. And that helps me kind of realize, like, what's my favorite so far.
Yes.
So, do you have a favorite? Let's call favorites just to see where we're at.
Mine is the number 2.
Yeah. Mine is definitely the number 2 as well. That is definitely my favorite just because of how, balanced, rounded, and it's not just kind of like one thing versus another. It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. For me, if I can find a high proof whiskey, and I love high proof whiskeys because most of the time they bring complexity. And I like to sit down with my high proof whiskeys and just drink and pick them apart.
Yeah.
And when you can find one like this, that's easy to drink, that's almost 130 proof, it can be an amazing experience when you sit down and really pick this apart. It can also be very dangerous because you can really drink too much of it. So, but it's a phenomenal whiskey. You can't go wrong with any of these. But I do think this one, the second one, stands out head and shoulders above the other 2.
And going back to it, a whole lot of vanilla going on.
So much vanilla right now, isn't it?
It's the vanilla gorilla. It really is.
And that's why it changed on the nose, I think.
Yeah, going back to number 3, still a cinnamon hot.
Yeah.
A cinnamon red hot, and then number 1. Yeah, it's just earthy, a lot more black tea.
Earthy, leather, earth.
Yeah. It's the darker one on the nose and the taste, whereas number 2 is a little bit more fruity and on all the things, between number 1 and 3. But 3 does feel like a spice bomb. It really does.
It does. And that's not a bad thing. No bourbon.
And some people love it.
Some people love it.
Yeah.
And I think they're great. I'm happy with all of them. I'm glad I own all 3 of these.
Yeah. I'm jealous, by the way.
I'm sure.
But at least I got number 2.
Yes.
There's that. I don't have 1 and 3, but now I know what I'm in for, and I'll definitely be getting a backup of the Jubilation pit.
Oh, that's so cool.
So, real quick, if you guys are new to the channel, consider subscribing. Like, comment below if you like what you see and you want to see more of it. I would love to hear your thoughts on what we should do next. I know Daniel, every time he comes over, it usually involves like 3 or 4 whiskeys, and we love to do comparisons because we have our own palates. We tasted and enjoyed whiskey for quite a while, so it's always fun having you. So thank you for coming over, my friend. If you guys can, we highly recommend that you guys check out our Patreon page. It's going to be in the description in this video, and I'll even have a little scannable link too that'll take you right to it. It's really just going to help us grow, and with your support, there's going to be some benefits tied to it. I want you guys to check it out. We have different tiers, so whether you want to contribute a little bit or you really want to contribute a lot, any will be most appreciated by us for sure. And for those that are our Patreons, and Daniel happens to be one, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate you guys continuing to show support. You guys are our number 1 fan base, really. If you're in New Mexico, we want you guys to join the Albuquerque Whiskey Society, a great group. And I don't say it just because me and Daniel are buddies, we're friends. I've grown my friendship because I joined the Whiskey Society. I went to these events. They do monthly events. So if you are local to the area, you got to go because usually there's good food involved on top of good whiskey, and there's really a good sense of camaraderie. I've met a lot of new friends, good friends through the Whiskey Society. If you can find something in your area, you got to do it.
We were just featured in the Whiskey Advocate magazine as a featured group. So I've had lots of people reach out from other states to our group And I've been chatting with these guys back and forth about different things that they do, different things that we do. So find your local group and get involved.
Yep, and we're going to put info in the video link as well, or video description, about how to join the Albuquerque Whiskey Society. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and don't forget, here at Whiskey One, it's about the one you enjoy. Cheers.
Shut up and sit down.
This one's going to be called Watch Yourself, because you're going to get jacked up on this one because it's good.
It is good. Damn good. I changed my mind. I don't want to call this one black tea. I want to call this one hot leather chaps. Assless chaps.
Assless chaps.
I want, number one.
Okay, wait.
Chaps.
It doesn't smell like assless chaps. Although I don't know what assless chaps smells like. I can only imagine.
You really got to put your nose into it to get to assless chaps.
Does it need to be in the middle?
I think you get it more towards the tail. Like you get assless chaps on the tail.
And the
you have
finish.
to get really behind it. I think.
How do you finish that? Now I'm more red than I was coming off the soccer fields. I've been on the soccer fields for 2 days straight with my kids. Or one kid.
Did you forget? Did you forget the other one on the field?
Nah, he's gone with my wife. On the field. Yeah, he's still out there. Where the hell's Dad?
Yeah.